Dream Children, an essay written by Charles Lamb. The analysis is done by Dr. Vinamrata.
Hello dear all. Today we are going to deal with an essay which is titled Dream Children, a Reverie, written by Charles Lamb. So Charles Lamb is basically a prolific writer. He has written many essays and tales, and his collection of essays is titled Essays from Elia. And his short stories book, that is Lamb's Tale from Shakespeare, in collaboration with Mary Lamb, his sister, is an, you can say, abridged version of Shakespeare's comedies, and it is very interesting to read. You can term it as a children's book. So in short, you will get to know about Shakespeare's tales there. Formally, let's start up with who Charles Lamb was. Charles Lamb, 1775 to 1834, was the contemporary of Coleridge. They went to the same school, Christ Hospital, and there they formed a bonding together. But Lamb's life was a bit tragic, and his sister Mary Lamb was suffering from some kind of mental ailment, and in those fits of mental ailment she killed her own mother. So Lamb thought that only thing he could do was to take care of his sister, so he never married and devoted whole of his life to taking care of Mary Lamb, his sister. And together, I have already told you, they wrote the book Lamb's Tales from Shakespeare. And his essays have got a personal tone. And you see, I have already discussed what is a formal essay and what is an informal essay in my another video. If you want to read that in detail, I have shared the link in the description box. You can go and find it out there. So here, this essay which we are talking about is an personal essay, an informal essay. And generally his imagination, his views is reflected in those essays. And the basic juncture where he differs from other writers is because of this strong command on his personal tone. And he is therefore called the Prince of English Essays. When father of English essays is the term given to Bacon, in the same way the Prince of Essays term is given to Charles Lamb. And this essay that we are talking about is also a personal essay. And here he is talking about his desire. The title you see itself is Dream Children, a Reverie. So dream, again, and a dream which he aspires for, which he imagines, and reverie. So reverie again is a term which means daydreaming, something of a kind of hallucination. So he is hallucinating things, he is creating his daydreams, he is thinking about few things, and he feels them to be true because he wants to live those moments, because he wants to actually have children of his own, and because he has never married, he has no children of his own, so he imagines those children. And this whole essay you will see him talking to two little kids who are just out of the blue, his imagination, his hallucination. So that's why the name given, a reverie. Dream Children, a reverie. And it is totally personal. You see why? Because one more important thing, that in his essays you will generally see, because his collection of essays also titled Essays from Elia. So Elia is the term or the name with which he writes. So whenever you will find Elia talking in the essays, you understand that it is Lamb who is talking. And generally Lamb will refer to a person called Cousin Bridget, and not to mention that Cousin Bridget is no one else but Mary Lamb. So whenever he is talking to Cousin Bridget, you can assure yourself that he is talking about Mary Lamb, and Elia is he himself. So not to waste much time, let's start with this essay.
So let's start with the essay. I would suggest all of you to open up your essays in front of you, so that when I'm telling you the analysis of the lines, you will be able to relate to it. So the essay begins with the line, children love to listen to stories. And here Lamb is going to narrate them a story. And the story is about their great grandmother Field. And because it is their great grandmother, means the children's great grandmother, so obviously she is the grandmother of Lamb. And Lamb says that children are generally interested in listening to stories about their traditional um, mothers and grandmothers and the people who have lived before them in the genealogy and whom they have never seen. So such kind of stories interest the children, and that's why today Lamb is going to narrate them such a story. So it starts with the story of great grandmother Field, who used to live in a very large house in Norfolk. And that house, he tells, that is 100 times bigger than where Papa lives. Papa means obviously Lamb. So where the children and Lamb is living, he gives a comparison with that house, that the house in which great grandmother Field used to live was 100 times bigger than their house. And then he goes on to give the description of the house, and says that the house was very large and vast, and on the chimney, Children in the Woods, a kind of story, was carved. The whole story of the children and their cruel uncle and was carved on the chimney. But somehow or the other, till the story of the Robin Redbreast. So these all are stories, fables, tales which were famous among children those times. So he says that all those children's stories were carved on the chimney, and such was the beauty of the house. But later on, what happened? Some foolish rich man, people who are not much into arts and who are not much into the analysis or the understanding of children's things, some such a person somehow dismantled all that wood carvings and replaced the chimney with marble. Then he moves on, and here he mentions the name of the first child he is talking to, that is Alice, the girl child. And he says that Alice gives a dead look here. Why? Because dead look just like her mother. Why? Because the mother is dead. We come imply from these lines, and we also imply that Alice is having a striking resemblance to their mother, and she gives a strange look, a dead look. Why? Because she is disheartened by the fact that whole of the chimney carving had been pulled down and had been replaced by marble. Now then again further, Lamb goes on to say that grandmother Field was very religious lady, and although she was not the owner of the house, she was not the mistress of the house, she was in charge of the house. Why? Because the owner had somewhere shifted to another place and she was the working lady there. So the charge had been given to grandmother Field, and the owner had shifted to some adjoining country where they had made a more new and fashionable mansion for them. So this house was moreover deserted, and only grandmother Field was there who took the care of the house. And then he says that what happened, because they shifted to the new house, whatever old antiques were here in this house were pulled out and were taken to the or shifted to the new house. So what happened, because these antiques were suiting the old house, but they were somewhere or the other mismatched to the new fashionable mansion. So it looked as if like an abbey. Abbey is the place where, actually it is the Westminster Abbey he is talking about. That is the graveyard where most of the influential people have been buried. It is the church also, Westminster Church, and Westminster Abbey is also the graveyard there in the church where all the reputed people are buried. So it looked like somewhat that only, because the old things which were fixed in the new house looked like somewhere or the other dead tombs that had been fixed. And it also resembled Lady T's tawdry glittering drawing room. So he is giving some kind of grotesque images that it was not very suited to the new mansion. And then here he mentions his second child. So the first child was Alice, we have already talked about. The second child is John, and John at this point says that would be foolish indeed. So that was not a very wise step to have been taken. Moving on, Lamb says that what happened when grandmother Field died. When grandmother Field died, her funeral was attended with so many people because everyone around the country liked her. Why? Only one reason was that she was very religious, very kind hearted, and she loved everybody. Means, see, with these stories, somehow or the other, Lamb is trying to inculcate some kind of good habits in the children. So, continuously, he would be telling them how great grandmother Field was, very religious lady. Earlier, also, he has told that grandmother Field was very religious. Now again he is saying that she was very religious. She knew all the psaltery by heart. Psaltery means psalms, the songs sung for the god. So she had learnt all her psalteries, and she had learnt portions of testament. Testament is the Bible, the part of Bible. So she knew testament, she learned, she had all the psalteries learned, and she was, further he says, a very good dancer. She was the best dancer. And when Alice hears that she was the best dancer, she kind of started some kind of foot movement, because it is a girlish thing to do, to be infatuated with dance. And when Lamb mentions that grandmother Field was a great dancer, Alice also starts giving some kind of foot movement. And then here Lamb enhances upon how she had to stop dancing. Grandmother Field had to stop dancing because of a very bad disease that she caught, and that was cancer. And although she had cancer, her good spirits was always, because her spirits was always high, she was always good and religious, she was never bogged down. She had to renounce dancing, but she somehow survived cancer also. And it was not because of cancer that she died. She lived quite a long time even after having cancer. And then he also says that because of her religious nature, she was so confident in herself that there were always two apparitions of, or two infants who were seen roaming about in the house. So what is an apparition? Apparition is a kind of, some kind of ghostly thing, something which is not there, but people seek such kind of images, means a ghost basically. So there were two infants, two children whose ghosts used to roam about the mansion, and they used to slide up and down the stairs. But grandmother Field was never ever afraid, and she slept all alone in her lone room without anybody around. Whereas, because the writer, means Lamb himself, was not so religious as grandmother Lamb, what he used to do, he used to sleep with the maid. The maid was appointed, or the maid was asked, he used to ask the maid to sleep with him. Why? Because he was not so religious as the great grandmother. And the great grandmother would say those innocent would do her no harm, means the ghosts, the apparitions of the ghosts who are children, would do no harm to the grandmother. Then again Lamb goes on to describing the beauty of the house, and he says that the house was such large, and it has got so many things there. It has got 12 old busts of Caesars. So who is Caesar? Caesar is the title of Julius Caesar, like you would have heard, the emperor of Rome. So there were 12 busts or 12 statues of all the Caesars of Rome. And author was very infatuated towards those artistic things, so he would go there and stand there until he imagined to become one of the statues, or the statues would seem to him that have come to life. So he admired those statues so much that the Caesars would come to life for him. And then after roaming about in the house and being bored of that, he would go out to visit the garden. And the garden was also not something small, it was a very large and huge garden, and it was hung up with nectarines, and only sometimes occasionally the garden would be seen, and the fruits there and the trees there were yew trees, fir trees, and so many trees he talks about. And there were many fruits, but those were forbidden fruits, because as children you were not allowed to pluck up any fruit or whatever thing you wanted. And thus, hearing this, John slowly keeps away the grapes that he had taken away from the plate back into the plate. So, this showed or taught John some kind of responsibility of sharing things and distributing things, because when Lamb says that he was not allowed to pluck fruits from the garden without permission, it gives a sense of responsibility in the children also. So, in this way, telling them that grandmother Field was religious and telling them that one must share, all these things are teaching them some kind of moral values also. So through these stories he is trying to inculcate some kind of moral values into the children. And then next he says that actually when he is talking about the garden, he moves on to say that in the garden there is a pond, and that pond has got many fishes there, and he talks about two kinds of fishes there. One is dace and the another one is pike, and the dace is the one which darts around to and forth. So throughout the pond you will see dace to move around, whereas the pike is the sulky one. It sits down alone in a corner and broods on the fact that why the other fish is moving around so quickly and friskily into the pond. And that's why somewhere or the other Lamb tries to give us a picture of the various fishes that are there in the pond. And then he moves on to say that uncle about the story of Uncle John. And who is Uncle John? He refers him as Uncle John L of the children, and he was the grandchild of grandmother Field, great grandmother Field. Now here we have to keep in mind, we have to not confuse the younger John with this Uncle John. Younger John is Lamb's son to whom he is telling the story, and this John is his brother, a cousin kind, because he is one of the grandchildren of grandmother Field. And he is brave and he's handsome and he can horse ride, and he's a good hunter. He goes on he rides the horse, and in the morning he goes on to expeditions with the hunters. And at time when the author became lame and somehow he was limping around, at that time Uncle John L had helped him a lot. And but John L died very early, and when he died, at first he handled it well. The author Lamb handled it well, but when later he came to realize that this is the permanent loss, that John has gone forever and he's not going to return, it haunted him a lot. And then he moved on to tell the children about Alice and how he had quoted Alice W. Now, who is this Alice? Again, you have to not confuse this Alice with the younger Alice. Younger Alice is the child of Lamb, but this Alice is the mother, the wife of Lamb. So, see, on the wife's name, he has given this name to his little girl. The wife's name was also Alice, and he had quoted her for 7 years. So he was wooing her for 7 years, trying to persuade her to marry for 7 years, but she would deny. And then in short he tries to, because the children are very young, they cannot understand what is the meaning of wooing, what is the meaning of courting. So in short sentences or in simple version, he tries to explain them what is the meaning of coyness and what is the meaning of denial. And when he says this all, when he talks about Alice, when he talks about Uncle John, suddenly he sees that the children are fainting in front of him, and he does not realize why this is happening. The little Alice and the little John are now gone. They are becoming faded again and again. And then he realizes that they are not children at all. They are just dreams. They are just imagination of Lamb. Now we come to the starting point from where we had started. We had already mentioned that Lamb never married, and this is a reverie. It is a daydream that he is taking. So all these two kids he has imagined, and he was talking to them all the time, and now he suddenly realizes that it is just his imagination. He has no kids, he is not married, there is no Alice or there is no John. And then he says that the children say actually that we are not of Alice nor of thee, nor are we children at all. So because there was no Alice, the mother Alice, or Lamb married, and because there was no Alice and Lamb never married, so we are not children at all. They are just apparitions which are waiting at the side of Lide rivers for a million years. They will wait here before they will wait there before they are born. So what is Lide? Lide is the river which is thought to be the river which differentiates the world from the heaven, or the world from the other world. So that is the river which everyone has to cross in order to take birth, or in order to, after death, go back to the other world. So because they are not born, they are still a form of energy, or a spirit in the form of spirit. They are not human beings. They are just apparitions, and they are on the other side of Lide. They are waiting to be born, and they don't know when they are going to be born, because obviously lamb is not going to marry, so there is no chances of their taking birth. So they have to wait million of years before they are going to take birth. And then finally lamb sees that there is only one person who is next to him, that is cousin Bridget. So again we come to the fact that this cousin Bridget is Mary Lamb, because only Mary Lamb is there, who is always at the hands or at the side of Lamb, and there is no one else who is with him. So Bridget is for Lamb and Lamb is for Bridget. And at last he mentions John L, that is Elia, and obviously this Elia is Lamb himself. So although in the middle of the essay he has talked about John L, and he was a handsome man and brave man, so he was talking about that Uncle John. So here you can assume that Uncle John is John Elia himself, and John Elia and cousin Bridget is talked about at the end of the essay. And thus therefore he ends up by saying that there is only cousin Bridget by his side, and there are no children at all. They were just dreams and imaginations. So that is all. I hope you must have understood what is there in this essay. If you have understood, then please do not forget to like, share, subscribe and comment on the video. Thank you.